If you're a regular listener to the Stay at Home Nurse podcast, it is because you strive for something more. You're not content letting life happen to you. You take control of your life. New Year's Day is the perfect time to stop and reflect on where you are now, where you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, even 10 years from now, and how you're going to get there. On today's episode, it's New Year's resolution time. Let's get things done in 2021. Welcome to the Stay at Home Nurse podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham. For over 25 years, I've strived to use my nurse credentials to find work that fit my lifestyle, whether it was raising my 4 children and 3 fur babies, traveling the world, or moving to Mexico and living on the Caribbean Sea. Sometimes I succeeded, and sometimes I failed, but I always learned from the experience. Now, I want to help you by sharing what worked and what didn't work. There are so many opportunities out there for nurses today. The Stay at Home Nurse podcast will inspire and equip you to have a nursing career that is meaningful and supports your lifestyle. Now let's get started. If you are listening to this on the day it's published, it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year! I don't think anyone was prepared for the year we had in 2020. And I think I can speak for most when I say, welcome 2021. I'm excited to start this new year off on the right foot. For me, that's goal setting. So let's talk resolutions, goals, and how to rock this new year. Research shows that as many as 50% of adults in the United States make New Year's resolutions, but fewer than 10% actually keep them for more than a few months. In fact, approximately 80% of people who make New Year's resolutions have dropped them by the second week of February. I believe much of the problem is making a resolution versus a goal. A resolution is a firm decision to do or not do something. A decision can easily be changed. Put a molten lava chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream in front of me and I'm done. I've broken my resolution and consider myself a failure. But a goal is different. A goal is something that I am striving to achieve, and if it's a SMART goal with a list of tasks to reaching that goal, studies have shown that even if I only accomplish 70 to 80% of the tasks, I can still accomplish my overarching goal. I like that. It may surprise you to know that the success in reaching a goal has little to do with the size of the goal. Small, seemingly easily achievable goals have the same failure rate as huge, life-changing goals. So if the size doesn't matter, what does? The answer to that is creating a process for success. You see, the difficulty of the goal you set isn't nearly as important as whether or not you create the right process to achieve that goal, and whether you follow the process you create. Yes, you heard me correctly. To accomplish your goal, you need to go beyond creating it, because the goal, without a plan, is just a wish. I'm going to share with you a few of the things that have helped me to reach some of my goals. I'm also going to share with you what I learned about the goals I didn't accomplish. I like to learn from my failures, so spending a few minutes reflecting on what didn't work is as important, if not more important, as what did. At this time, I'm using a 3-step process to reaching my goals. Now, I say at this time because I'm always working on improving, so next year I may be doing something different. But my 3-step process right now is 1, pick the right goals, 2, put a process in place to achieve the goals, and then 3, follow through with the process. Sounds simple, right? Let's take a look. Step 1, pick the right goals. This is really important. Ask yourself, is this goal important enough to me that I will schedule time each week to dedicate towards reaching it? Because this is step 3. If we don't want to do this, let's move on to a different goal. Here are some examples that I thought of. Writing a book. When I was writing my book, I had to dedicate time each day to writing, whether that was a half an hour, or 4 hours. I put it on my calendar. If there's a goal to be healthy or to lose weight, are you willing to put time on your calendar each week to exercise and meal plan? If one of your goals is to get a new job, are you willing to put time on your calendar each week to search for that job, to fill out the applications and the resumes, to tweak your resume to fit the job description? If one of your goals is to get another degree or a certification, are you willing to put time on your calendar each week towards studying? And if one of your goals is to start a business or grow your business, are you willing to put time in each week towards creating your product, marketing that product, networking, and all the other business operations that come along with it? One of my very favorite quotes is by David Allen. He says, "You can do anything you want, but not everything." Time is the great equalizer. We all have 168 hours in each week. We can't create more. Is this goal important enough that you will schedule time? You will schedule some of your 168 hours towards working towards it. If the answer is no, then choose another goal. An example for me, and this is one of my failures that I want to share with you, Spanish. Why, after 4 years of living in Mexico, am I not fluent in Spanish? Because I won't schedule time for it on my calendar. I looked at my calendar, and I just can't find time to squeeze it in. Other things have taken priority over it, such as writing a new book, writing courses, taking vacations, kayaking, and building a business. Now, that's not to say that this isn't important to me. It is very important. It's just other things have taken priority. And I only have 168 hours in a week. I just haven't found time to budget this. This hasn't been a priority yet. It will be a priority at some point. But right now, when I look at my calendar, I can't find time for it. So if your goal is not important enough to schedule the steps necessary to accomplish it in your calendar, then drop it. It will only frustrate you and make you feel bad that you haven't accomplished it yet. When I say drop it, I don't mean drop it forever. I mean put it on the list of possibilities, the list of things you want to do someday, but you're just not actively working on right now. Okay, along with step 1 of making the right goal, part of making that right goal is to make it a SMART goal. You may be familiar with SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or realistic, and time-bound. Let's start by looking at some things that are not SMART goals. They're kind of like resolutions. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to save more money. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to learn Spanish. These are not SMART goals. To make them SMART goals, they have to be measurable. How will you know when it's accomplished? They have to be achievable. If I want to grow my business by 100% every year, is that really achievable? If I want to grow my business by 30%, if I don't have a business in place, would that be achievable? If I want to become a CRNA and it requires critical care experience and I don't have that, it's not achievable. So instead, I might want to change my goal to get critical care experience. Then, the following year or a couple years later, I can then change my goal to become a CRNA. Let's move on to relevant or realistic. Is it meaningful? Does it align with your values? Does it align with a larger goal? Does it align with who you want to be in the future? I want to speak fluent Spanish because it aligns with my goal of being a world traveler and it helps me to live in my daily life as an expat in Mexico. Does your goal of getting your master's degree align with where you want to be in 5 years? If you want to retire in 5 years, you might want to rethink that. But if you want to get a job that requires a master's in 5 years, then that would be something that you would want to make your goal. And finally, the T in SMART goal is for time bound. When will you achieve this goal by? Now, I have to say, I always give myself a time bound. I don't always reach it, but at least it gives me something to strive for. I can always extend it, and at least I know where am I at, how far did I get, and how much longer do I think it's going to take to reach this goal. Life happens. We have to pivot. Okay, let's take a minute and look back at those goals that we had mentioned earlier that were not SMART goals, and we're going to re-look at them as SMART goals. The first example was to lose weight, not a SMART goal, but I will lose 20 pounds by July 31st of 2021 is a SMART goal. Save more money, not a SMART goal, but I will have X dollars in my retirement account by December 31st of 2021 is a SMART goal. I will start a business is not a SMART goal, but I will have my product created and on Etsy by April 15th of 2021 is a SMART goal. I will grow my business is not a SMART goal, but I will grow my top line revenue by 30% in 2021 is a SMART goal. I will take a vacation is not a SMART goal. Does a trip to the lake overnight count? To make this a SMART goal, it would be something like, I will take a 1-week vacation out of state by August 31st of 2021. And finally, back to that learning Spanish. I will be able to use the correct verb tense, order a meal, and ask for and understand directions by March 21st of 2021. Now that's a SMART goal. Okay, now that we have our goals, we have to move on to step 2. Put a process in place to achieve the goals. Why are New Year's resolutions so hard to keep? Because dopamine gets us all excited and we start off strong, but without structure in place, we'll fall off the wagon. Remember, the difficulty of the goal you set isn't nearly as important as whether or not you create the right process to achieve that goal, and whether you follow through with the process that you create. So when I say process, what do I mean? Okay, let's take a weight loss example. That seems to be a universal one that everybody wants. If I want to lose weight, and I know to do that, I have to eat right and I have to exercise. Some things that I could do to help me succeed would be to meal plan and then actually make a menu of what I'm going to eat every night of the week, make sure that each of those things are healthy, go to the grocery store, buy the healthy things, not buy any snacks or things that are not healthy, lay my shoes out the night before so that when I get up in the morning, I can go for a walk or a run. Those are things that you can do, processes that you can put in place to set yourself up for success. When I'm helping people to pass their CCM certification, a couple of things that I have them do is make sure that they have all the resources that they need in one designated study place so that they're not looking around and getting distracted during their study time. I also have them start their study periods off by saying a mantra about how they will learn everything that they need to know to pass the exam during their study sessions. Now, this process is going to be different for every different type of goal that there is out there, but just think of all the steps that you need to do to accomplish this goal. What are all the individual tasks that need to be accomplished? Write them all down, list them all out in order of what needs to be done. For example, somebody that's going to go back to school may need to research the different schools that are available, apply for the schools, wait for the decision, send in the money, and then start attending the school. When I'm writing a book, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. I research, I write, I edit. I research, I write, I edit. Over and over again, the same thing until it's done. So again, this second step is going to look different depending on your goal. And finally, step 3, follow through with the process. This is where you schedule it. You actually put it on your calendar. When are you going to follow through with this process? What days and times do you choose to dedicate each week to following through with the process? Now, as I've mentioned before, I like to learn from my mistakes. I also like to share them with you so that you can learn from my mistakes. One of the mistakes that I've realized I've done is have too many goals going at the same time. When I look back and realize that I can only achieve a couple things at a time. For example, I can work on writing a book and exercising, but I can't do that and learn Spanish, obviously, because I still haven't done it. That was just too much for me. I tend to be a person that dives in wholeheartedly when I'm doing something. Kind of that obsessive personality where when I'm doing something, I dive into it and get as much done as I can, and I work on it as long as I can until my brain just doesn't let me do it anymore or my body doesn't let me do it anymore. So I found that for me personally, working on more than one physical goal and more than one knowledge goal at a time doesn't work for me. I've also learned that when I have too many goals going at once, it's really slow for me to accomplish any of them and get them finished. I would rather laser focus on 2 or 3 goals, accomplish them, and then move on to my next goal than to be working on 4, 5, or 6 goals at a time. It just doesn't work for me. Now, in my research with goals and how to accomplish them, one thing that I found very interesting that I want to start incorporating is rewards. Remember that dopamine we talked about before? Our brain really does control our body. And when we reward ourselves after each task, it makes us more likely to do the task again. I'm still researching this, but from what I found, the rewards don't have to be huge. It can be as simple as a high five, a hug, petting your dog, eating a piece of fruit, watching a show on Netflix. Anything that you enjoy that you routinely do after you accomplish the task. Okay, that's a wrap for this week's episode. I would truly love to know what your goals are so that I can support and encourage you in reaching them. Did you know that we have a Facebook group dedicated to this podcast? Just search for the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast in Facebook. You'll find the group, ask to join, and in there I would love to hear what your goals are. Post them in the comments of the link to this week's podcast. Or, if you're not on Facebook or you don't want to share, you can share them with me personally by emailing them to hello@thestayathomenurse.com. I wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2021. Adios from Puerto Aventuras, Mexico.